Hi there. My grandfather, his name was Joseph Hetherington Dawson, and on occasion he would love to give recitations of poems that he learned when he was in school. He made it all the way to book 4. I was about 10 years old when he would come to the farm and do these recitations. He would have been about 64 years old, and he could still remember all of these poems, his memory work, pretty much without a glitch. This is one of my favorite poems that Grandpa knew, and it's called St. Peter at the Golden Gate. It was written by Joseph Burt Smiley somewhere in the 1800s. Smiley died in 1903. Grandpa called it Maggie and Jiggs at the Golden Gate. St. Peter stood guard at the Golden Gate, with a solemn mien and an air sedate. When up to the top of the golden stair, a man and a woman ascending there, applied for admission. They came and stood before St. Peter, so great and good, in hopes the city of peace to win, and asked St. Peter to let them in. The woman was tall and lank and thin, with a scraggy beadlet upon her chin. The man was short and thick and stout. His stomach was built so it rounded out. His face was pleasant, and all the while he wore a kindly and genial smile. The choirs in the distance the echoes woke, and the man kept still while the woman spoke. "O thou who guardest the gate," said she, "we too come hither beseeching thee to let us enter the heavenly land and play our harps with the angel band. Of me, St. Peter, there is no doubt. There's nothing from heaven to bar me out. I've been to meetings 3 times a week, and almost always I rise and speak. I've told the sinners about the day when they'd repent their evil way. I've told my neighbors, I've told them all, about Adam and Eve and the primal fall. I've shown them what they'd have to do if they'd pass in with the chosen few. I've marked their path of duty clear, laid out the plan for their whole career. I've talked and talked to 'em loud and long, for my lungs are good and my voice is strong. So good, St. Peter, you'll clearly see the gate of heaven is open to me. But my old man, I regret to say, hasn't walked out exactly the narrow way. He smokes and he swears, and grave faults he's got. I don't know whether he will pass or not. He never would pray with an earnest vim, or go to revival, or join in a hymn. So I had to leave him in sorrow there, while I, with the chosen, united in prayer. He ate what the pantry chanced to afford, while I, in my purity, sang to the Lord. And if cucumbers were all he got, it's a chance if he merited them or not. But oh, St. Peter, I love him so. To the pleasures of heaven, please let him go. I've done enough. A saint I've been. Won't that atone? Can't you let him in? By my grim gospel, I know 'tis so, that the unrepentant must fry below. But isn't there some way that you can see that he may enter who's dear to me? It's a narrow gospel by which I pray, but the chosen expect to find some way of coaxing or fooling or bribing you so that their relation can amble through. And say, St. Peter, it seems to me this gate isn't kept as it ought to be. You ought to stand by that opening there and never sit down in that easy chair. And say, St. Peter, my sight is dimmed, but I don't like the way your whiskers are trimmed. They're cut too wide and outward toss. They'd look better narrower, cut straight across. Well, we must be going our crowns to win, so open, St. Peter, and we'll pass in. St. Peter sat quiet and stroked his staff, but spite of his office he had to laugh, then said with a fiery gleam in his eye, "Who's tending this gateway, you or I?" And then he arose in his stature tall, and pressed a button upon the wall, and said to the imp who answered the bell, "Escort this lady around to hell." The man stood still as a piece of stone, stood sadly, gloomily there alone. A lifelong settled idea he had that his wife was good and he was bad. He thought, if the woman went down below, that he would certainly have to go. That if she went to the regions dim, there wasn't a ghost of a show for him. Slowly he turned, by habit bent, to follow wherever the woman went. St. Peter, standing on duty there, observed that the top of his head was bare. He called the gentleman back and said, "Friend, how long have you been wed?" 30 years, with a weary sigh, and then he thoughtfully added, "Why?" St. Peter was silent with his head bent down. He raised his hand and scratched his crown. Then, seeming a different thought to take, slowly, half to himself, he spake. 30 years with that woman there? No wonder the man hasn't any hair. Swearing is wicked. Smoke's not good. He smoked and swore. I should think he would. 30 years with that tongue so sharp. Ho! Angel Gabriel, give him a harp. A jeweled harp with a golden string. Good sir, pass in where the angels sing. Gabriel, give him a seat alone, one with a cushion up near the throne. Call up some angels to play their best. Let him enjoy the music and rest. See that on finest ambrosia he feeds. He's had about all the hell he needs. It isn't just hardly the thing to do to roast him on earth and the future too. They gave him a harp with golden strings, a glittering robe with a pair of wings, and he said, as he entered the realm of day, "Well, this beats cucumbers anyway." And so the scriptures had come to pass. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last.